Hello and welcome back, everyone. Oh, let me adjust this camera real quick as it is awful. Hello, welcome back, everyone, to the Hold for Hold Pro Wrestling channel. As you can see here, this is not my typical setup. I'm not in my home right now, so please excuse the background. Trying to make myself a little smaller so you guys can see me as well. But anyways, you guys, welcome back. Today was the first day of the King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournament, so we have some big developments there. Overall, this was SmackDown's season premiere, so as we all know, they wanted to go out with a bang, start off everything, get everything on the right foot. But I don't feel it all connected. So, okay, that's a little bit of a spoiler for the overall view. But before we get into everything that went on with tonight's SmackDown, let's do the YouTube plugs. Let's get this over with, you guys. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, leave a like on this video, and it will really help support the channel, really help us grow this community of wrestling fans. But yeah, follow us anywhere, hold for hold. Enough of that crap. I'm not into it tonight. Let's just talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about SmackDown. As I did feel it was a pretty good show. It lagged a little bit there towards the beginning of the second hour, but we'll talk about why it lagged, and I think you guys can all guess why it lagged if you follow me on Twitter. Madcap Moss. But anyways, we started off tonight pretty fast start with some weird positioning here for this contract signing between Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. We cut right into Bianca making her entrance, but then we're shown Becky is on the ramp with a table and a chair of her own. She's sitting there on the ramp. Then we're cut to Sasha Banks just standing on the announce table with the microphone in her hand. It's really weird and contrived setup that looks stupid. First of all, just from a camera perspective, from a TV direction perspective, it looked dumb. But these three women are fantastic, so I can't knock the segment too hard. I just wish they would have positioned them in a better way that made more sense. Because it's not, I don't know. Let's just get into this, all right? So like I said, really weird placement. Becky starts off by calling out Bianca for starting this losing streak. And then it calls out Sasha for attacking her from behind. Sasha is literally still standing on the table as she responds to her. Bianca challenges Becky to get in the ring. She doesn't, so Bianca throws the desk chair that she has. She throws her over the ropes, aiming at Becky. Doesn't really get close though. Becky then flips the table, walks down, but before she can get in the ring, Sasha Banks already sneak attacks Bianca, so she gets Bianca in a prone position there in the corner. This brings Becky and Sasha to a brawl, and the finish of the segment sees Bianca pick up both women for what looks to be a KOD, which was really impressive because it's, if you know the KOD, the setup is essentially a reverse fireman's carry. So that's a really awkward position to have two people on. But she gets both of them up there. Sasha does kind of climb down, and so she swings Becky's feet to hit Sasha. This puts Sasha onto the table where they would have signed the contract. By the way, they never signed a contract here. So Sasha's on the table. She gives Becky a KOD onto Sasha through the table to end the segment. Really impressive stuff. I really enjoyed their back and forth here. I didn't write too many notes because I was actually kind of in the moment. But overall, I think this match is going to be an absolute banger, and hopefully we get to see her complete that double KOD. But following that, we have the announcement of the King of the Ring bracket. So I don't know, maybe I'll save my predictions to the end, I think, so that way we can get the results, because we did have quite a few matches in both of these tournaments tonight. We had 2 matches in each, so maybe I should hold off on my predictions until then. So as the bracket reads, it's Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn, Cesaro versus Finn Balor, Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal, and Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. So the winner of Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio will face the winner of Cesaro and Finn Balor, and then the winner of Kofi Kingston versus Jinder will face the winner of Xavier Woods and Ricochet. So there is a possibility for a New Day one-on-one match, which we'll talk about more in the predictions. But before we can get into any more action, we have Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio backstage. Rey's prepping for his King of the Ring match with Sami. He's asked how it would feel to be the king of the ring. He says it would be ashamed if Sami were to win it, and that he would love to add the king of the ring to his legacy. Sorry if I'm not looking at the camera, y'all. I'm used to not. It's in a different place. But anyways, yeah, he said that it would add so much to his legacy, to be El Rey of the Ring, being Rey Mysterio. I think it's a good sell. Anyways, though, Dominik says he's gonna stay behind and watch Rey's match in the back, and guess how he's gonna watch it? Much like I'm watching both of my screens here, he's gonna watch it from that awkward 45-degree angle. Sami comes up about when he's about to make his entrance. He tells Dom that he made the right decision, and he thinks Dom has always been better than Rey. That's a lie. Why you lie like that? Before the match actually starts, we get a little bit of a video showing us that Shinsuke Nakamura has relinquished his crown, so he's no longer going by King Nakamura. He will just be, Intercontinental Champion Nakamura, which I really wish he was a heel, so that way he didn't do this. Because it would have been fun for the King of the Ring to have wrapped up, and then him still say, I'm still the King of Strong Style, and I'm going to knock whoever's head is at the end or wearing this crown. You know what I mean? Like that would have been fun storytelling. But nonetheless, this good babyface showing for him. And it's kind of a shame he's not in this tournament, because by default he is like the retaining king. So, anyways, we get that King of the Ring match, Sami Zayn versus Rey Mysterio. It's a very fast start to kick us off. Sami looks for a haluva kick right out the gate. Rey gets a roll up for 2. Rey gets Sami's shoulders, or Rey gets on Sami's shoulders, kind of like an electric drop position. Sorry, but he gets a powerbomb instead. Sami then avoids a 619, but Rey hits him with a Rana plancha. So he jumps over top rope, hits like a senton plancha, but does a Rana out of it. Looked fantastic. We get the big splash from Rey for 2. Sami then slides Rey into the post, shoulder first. It looked like a pretty rough bump. This brings out Dominik. We come back from the break. Sami nails the corner exploder onto Rey. He's looking for the haluva kick once again, but Rey intercepts him with another Hurricane Rana. Rey gets him up top, hits a beautiful top rope Rana. He avoids a blue thunder bomb, sets up for a 619. But Sami avoids the 619, gets a Thunderbomb again, and actually does nail the Thunderbomb this time for 2. And the finish sees Sami expose the turnbuckle. Dominik's like, hey man, that's not fair. So he picks up the turnbuckle, goes to put it on, and he literally angers everyone by doing this. He angers Sami, the referee for some reason, as if she couldn't see that he's putting the turnbuckle back on. She's mad at him. And most of all, his father, Rey, who starts yelling at him to get down. And in doing so, Sami rolls him up for the win. So there continues this through line of, they're now on the same page, guys. How will they coexist, father and son? But seriously, this was a fantastic match, first of all. So I don't want to discredit the in-ring work here, because I really enjoyed the match. Storytelling was fantastic. I think Sami Zayn's going to keep rising up in this tournament. He's probably going to be one of the last 2 I can see, because of just how these other matches turned out. But yeah, I'm enjoying the story here. From there, we get a hit Row Vignette. It's pretty good, pretty well produced. Just introduces the entire group to SmackDown. I'm excited for their debut. From there, we get the in defense of Seth Rollins. So he's backstage with Kayla, and they run a big video package explaining the entire feud between him and Edge. And he starts off his speech the same way he did before by saying, this was a legal maneuver that I performed on him. He says that he's being the bigger man at all this because he's challenging him to make things right. He says that he didn't cross any lines and he's still waiting for an answer to his many challenges. And then he kind of storms off and says, well, why am I even talking to you, Kayla? You have no authority. I'm going to find someone who can make this happen. So obviously this sets up a next bit that we're going to see later on. But overall, this bit right here was pretty good. I like the titling of this, In Defense of Seth Rollins. It was a well-done video package as well. And Seth Rollins always can talk. Didn't like his suit combo tonight because it was just way too clashing, but that's okay. From here, we get the Queen's Crown bracket. We have Toni Storm versus Zelina Vega. Liv Morgan versus Carmella, Doudrop versus Natalya, and Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler, and much the same kind of order here. The winners of the first two matches will face each other. Winners of the last two matches will face each other because it's kind of split up by brand. So Queen's Crown match is coming up. We have Zelina Vega versus the wild child of the 80s, Toni Storm. We get two pretty whatever promos before where Zelina's talking about if she's the queen, then she'll rule like Cleopatra. And Toni says that if she's the queen, she's going to rock like Madonna. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Zelina's was fine if it was just, her, if it was an original premise. But once you copy and paste it onto Toni's and then have it filled in with like 80s rock sensations, it was not good, y'all. Cole says Wild Child of the 80s like 3 times in the 1-minute entrance that Toni Storm had, and it drove me insane. I cannot with this catchphrase. But in the ring, we get a Luthes press from Zelina, a nice knee strike to follow it up. Zelina then locks in like a clutch, but she lets go of it to taunt. Toni comes back with a running forearm and hip attack in the corner. She goes up top but gets caught. Zelina takes her down with like a snapmare from the top rope. Finish sees Toni looks for a gory bomb, her gory flatliner that she does, but Zelina turns it into a code red for the win. From there, we have a Roman Reigns promo. I mean, okay, so let me back up, I guess, because I do want to talk about this match. I kind of skipped right on through it, but man, it just was short. I think it was only a minute and 30. It might have been 2 minutes. It was too short to get anything accomplished. Y'all had to edit a little bit, but like I was saying, I'm glad that Zelina Vega is getting wins. It's just this didn't feel like a good match, Like it didn't have any time to build, especially when compared to how long the Sami Zayn and Rey Mysterio match was. This getting so little time did nothing for it. It did nothing for Toni, especially because she is technically the newer person. Zelina has just been eating losses since she's come back. So to have Toni lose to Zelina clean in such a short match really doesn't look good for her. It really doesn't look good for anyone. I mean, I'm disappointed. And to think at one point in NXT, like Zelina Vega was hot. Like I wanted to see her wrestle more than anything because of just the way her character was when Andrade. And I know obviously things have changed now, but gosh, this character of Zelina, this lack of character from Zelina is just not what I want to see for her. I want her to be at that level again to where she's must-see TV, because I really do think her character work can carry her a lot of places, and they're not giving her a chance to do that. They're not giving any of these women a chance to do that. So it's really unfortunate to see that. But following that, like I said, I like to say positive on here, but sometimes it really does. Like, you really can't ignore the booking for these women's matches on the A show, Following that, we have a Roman Reigns promo. Obviously, Roman Reigns' entrance is actually longer than the match that preceded it. But anyways, first thing I noticed, Jey Uso has a fresh haircut, which as a man with a mullet, I appreciated the mullet. So made me a little sad to see that. So first things first, Roman asked San Jose to acknowledge him, which I did. I did at home. He says Heyman got the job done. So he tells San Jose to acknowledge him, to acknowledge Heyman. They boo. They boo him. It was unfortunate. They should have acknowledged Paul. He says, Roman says, I love you, Paul. My cousins love you. You're part of our family. You're the wise man. So be wise right now and come clean. Admit if you had anything to do with Brock Lesnar's free agency. Great bit of just absolute terror radiating off of Roman Reigns here. A true mobster in his delivery. I loved it. Crowd tries to shut him down when he says it too. They start to chant Suplex City, and he shuts them down so quick. But Paul Heyman does say, he says he's loyal and he's faithful to Roman, and he makes him look. And as he's talking, right, as he begins his promo, he's saying he's loyal and faithful. His chin is down, and he's looking at Roman's feet, and Roman just subtly just lifts his chin up for them to have eye contact. Great touch there. I absolutely love that. It was almost in the thumbnail. He said, "You chose me to be your special counsel because you knew I was the wise man." He says that he's been accused of many things and is guilty of much more, but he's never been accused of being stupid. He says, why would he pull the trigger on dethroning this reign right now? Why wouldn't he sell Roman on a strategy and then give away that strategy to Brock and pull the trigger then? Right, pulling this trigger right now would be stupid of me to do that. And he's really making an emphasis like he's not dumb. He would never betray the tribal chief Roman Reigns, and you definitely wouldn't betray him this way. Roman cuts him off. He tells Heyman to look into the camera and tell Brock that he'll be conquered come Crown Royal, or Crown Jewel, whatever the pay-per-view is, man. I've been watching too much Going to Raw. They got me mixed up. I don't know what's the truth anymore. Anyways, he says, Paul Heyman has probably one of my favorite promos he's cut in a long time. He says, right into the camera, talking to Brock Lesnar, he says, I told you The Undertaker had met his match, and his match's name was Brock Lesnar. Everyone said he couldn't be beat, but I told you, you could beat him. Well, now, Brock, you have met your match, and that man is Roman Reigns. Obviously, I'm not giving it any justice here, but it just fantastic delivery on his part. The seriousness as he looks into the camera, as I am remembering to do right now, it's just so good. It's so good, guys. Following that, we have Seth Rollins in Pierce's office. He threatens to stick up the main event of the show if he doesn't get his way. And from there, we have another Queen's Crown match. Carmella taking on Liv Morgan. This is by far my least favorite. No, it's not. Okay, I don't know. This is tied with the Happy Corbin stuff, which unfortunately we're going to talk about here in a sec, for the worst feuds going on. So Carmella starts the match by going to the outside and putting on her dumb mask. She then gets inside, gets rolled up, gets out of that, locks in the code of silence, her like submission. Liv grabs at the mask to break the hold. Liv then hits a code breaker, but Carmella gets her foot on the rope. Very predictable. This whole bit was predictable. And then the finish is just a super kick. Just nothing. No heat. The crowd was absolutely dead. They definitely pitched in boos for this. It was just boring. And that's always the worst, is boring wrestling. And you can't blame these performers when they're given 1 minute, a minute and 30. Like, this is just unfortunate that this is even happening. From here, we get a Mace interview. He says that he's not competing on this brand because there's no one that can match him, so therefore there's no one to compete with him. All he sees around the locker room is prey, and he's here to dominate, it was a good promo. I'm not giving this enough justice because, my delivery isn't the same as this big, intimidating dude, but I actually thought he looked pretty confident. He had some screen presence to him. And without the mask, he can talk better, obviously. And I'm looking forward to what Mace can do. I really wish he would have ditched the name because, Retribution just has dumpster fire in it. And you just don't want any of that stink attached to you. So hopefully they give him a rebrand a little bit more because his look is fine. I don't like the capris pants that he wears, but I can deal with it. I really just rather would have him have a new name. I know he can't go back to his old name, but just think of something new. From here, we get the bathroom break of the night, the Happy Talk show, obviously hosted by Happy Corbin. It was announced that the Street Profits would be a guest on this, but guess what? They weren't. So Happy Corbin comes out there. He has Madcap Moss make a joke. It's not funny. Kevin Owens comes out. And he starts to beat up on the guys, but then he eventually gets caught up, and then he gets thrown into the turnbuckle, and he tries to do like the Ric Flair, like Triple H, the looped out of, I don't know, where he, I don't know. Anyways, he lands on his neck is what I'm trying to say, and it looks bad. It looks rough. Then Rick Moss gets him up and hits a neck breaker on him, and that's how the segment ends with them laughing hysterically. This sucked. It's boring. It doesn't compel me. I'm instantly turned off whenever whenever they come out to the ring. They have no depth of character, which is a true shame because Baron Corbin might have had the deepest character this entire year, and now he's just resorted right back to this shallow iteration of just happy guy. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. From here, we have Naomi confronting Sonya Deville. She asks why she's not in the Queen's Crown tournament. Sonya says she doesn't deserve to be in it. And she then asks Pierce to just trade her to Raw already. And Sonya says, hold up, I'm not done with you here on SmackDown. And challenges her to a match next week. So this is a big if Sonya does follow through with this will be her first match since, I believe, December 2020. Or at least a year from now, or a year ago. So, pretty big deal. I love Sonya Deville. I love Naomi. I hope they do have a match, but I just kind of doubt that's going to happen on TV. Or if it does, it's going to have a wonky finish. But yeah, I mean, this feud is continuing. I enjoy the two people in it. It's a simple story, but it works. From here, we have the next King of the Ring match. Finn Balor taking on Cesaro. This is a great match. Just two good technical wrestlers. Can't really go wrong with this. We get some great chain wrestling to start. Cesaro throws a stunning tilt-a-whirl backbreaker onto Finn and then launches Finn into the corner. Finn gets his double stomps and looks for his senton plancha, but instead gets popped up for an uppercut. Finn looks to make a comeback after the commercial break, but Cesaro cuts him off with an uppercut train. Cesaro is then cut off himself with a sling blade. Cesaro meets Finn Balor on the top rope, gets another uppercut on him, really stiff and nice and snug, hits a huge superplex for two. He immediately rolls Finn into a crossface, but Finn is able to roll out of that. He gets a roll up out of that, and then Cesaro looks for the swing. Finn again gets him in a roll-up position, which was a really cool transition, and it's kind of a shame we didn't see the swing. But the finish sees Cesaro get ran into the ring post. Then we do get that senton plancha from Finn. Finn gets him in the ring. Shotgun drop kick in the corner and a coup de grace for the three. So Finn Balor will advance and face Sami Zayn. So pretty good match. I mean, not much else to say about it other than obviously it's going to be a good match. It's Finn Balor and Cesaro. From here, Becky Lynch is yelling at Pierce and Sonya. She says that she has nothing to prove to anybody. She doesn't even understand why she's in this match. Sonya tells her that she doesn't have anything to prove to them, but she needs to just go out there and prove she's the best in the ring. This gets Becky to sign the contract. I thought it was fine enough. Again, I didn't like the entire setup of this contract signing, so I didn't like this the logistics of seeing Becky in this situation because we never did see Bianca or Banks sign the contract either, so a little weird. Following this, Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring. He kept his promise. He's going to hijack the show. He spends the entire time just calling out Edge, really trying to pick his buttons. He says that Edge can pick any stipulation he wants, and they can even fight in Edge's living room. Edge eventually does come out. They brawl. Edge looks to lock in that crossface with the chair. Well, before that, he gives him a couple spears. I think he spears him in the ring, and then he spears him over the announce table. Then he gets him back in the ring. He looks to lock in the crossface with the chair brace that he did on Roman, but Rollins escapes out the ring. And then Edge grabs the mic and announces they'll have a match in Hell in a Cell. Perfect stipulation for these two. Absolutely cannot wait for this match. I think this is going to be arguably, this could make a case for, becoming the best Hell in a Cell match. The potential is there. The potential is there. The superstars that are involved here. I've been a real big fan of this Edge comeback. I think he's pretty much perfectly staged his welcome. And he's not doing anything that I'm not interested in, and he can still go in the ring. Same with Seth Rollins. Obviously, Seth Rollins is one of the best wrestlers in the world. We've all known that. So this is just going to be a fantastic match. So before I end off, I guess, before we get into let's get into the overall first, and then we'll talk about my predictions for the Queen's Crown and King of the Ring tournaments. So overall, this show really lagged in that second hour, in that beginning of that second hour with the Carmella match, the Happy Corbin, and just a little bit too many video packages. And honestly, that Zelina Toni match really I think that might have been the start of it kind of winding down. So For me, I'm going to give this 2.5 stars out of 5. I thought we had 2 really good matches on the show, but there was just a lot to be desired from this episode. For a season premiere especially, I really thought they lacked. And again, it was one, like I talked about last Monday, about like through lines through an episode. This one lacked a through line until Rollins called out Edge again, So we only got a through line for about the last 45 minutes of the show. So I don't know. And the King of the Ring matches, I guess, would be the other through line. But then the Queen of the Ring matches were so short that they felt forgotten. And that really just, yeah, it was, the pacing of the show was not done well. And so I'm overall 2.5 stars. Spot of the night's going to be Kevin Owens landing on his neck. That scared me, honestly. I hate to see that, and I hope he's okay. But anyways, y'all, let's talk about King of the Ring predictions. King of the Ring, man, this is tough. So right now, obviously, we have Sami Zayn and Finn Balor about to face off in the semifinals. On Monday, we're going to have Kofi versus Jinder, and I'm guessing Xavier Woods versus Ricochet, right? This second bracket is much more interesting to me because I think it has the winner in it. I think Xavier Woods is going to win this King of the Ring tournament. If he doesn't win this King of the Ring tournament, that would be an absolute atrocity because this man has been advocating for himself to get this opportunity, and he deserves it. This should be all in purpose to set up Xavier Woods to win this, right? So my official prediction is Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods going to win this. Man, but it's tough when you see Finn Balor on that bracket. It is tough to believe that. How I would book this is I would have... I don't know, actually. This is tough. I think I would have Finn Balor go over Sami Zayn. I would have him go over Sami Zayn. Or what you could do this. I don't think people will like this, though. You could have Sami Zayn somehow have Dom lead him to a victory here. Like, Dom inadvertently tries to screw Sami, but it ends up screwing Finn. Kind of like Johnny Gargano screwing Aleister Black out of the NXT title. Like, you could do that kind of storytelling there. So Sami advances. Kofi beats Jinder, obviously, and Woods beats Ricochet. Woods and Kofi have a one-on-one match, and they have a banger of a match. You give it 20 minutes, and they actually have a really good match. And Xavier Woods comes out with the win by just outsmarting Kofi, maybe like knowing his tricks, like maybe rolls up Kofi out of a trouble in paradise, or reversing an SOS into his own pin. Something that's like, I got you, like, and it's sportsmanlike. They shake hands, whatever. So then in the finals, it's Xavier Woods and Sami Zayn. So you have a true heel and a true face. And from there, it writes itself. Xavier Woods obviously wins it. The Queen's Crown is where I'm really nervous about. So the Queen's Crown right now, we have Zelina Vega and Carmella going one-on-one against each other, which technically they're allies, I guess, but I don't know how that's going to work because they're only going to have a 1-minute match. But I'm assuming Carmella's going to win that match. So that's my first assumption. Doudrop versus Natalya. Pretty sure Doudrop's winning that, and she'll face Shayna Baszler because they kind of set that up on Raw, and I'm actually excited for that match. Hopefully it gets more than 2 minutes. But I do see Shayna winning it. Oh, I don't know, though. Doudrop and Shayna. I mean, they should. My official pick to win this is Shayna Baszler. Like, that's who I'm rooting for. I'm not going to pick based off my brain, because if my brain is telling me Carmella's going to win this, because she always does. She wins things she probably shouldn't win because they're trying to give her heat, but she doesn't have any heat. So my heart, I'm going with Shayna, and the way I would get Shayna to that position, man, I wouldn't have had this bracket the way it is. I would have had Zelina take on Shayna, and I would have had Doudrop take on Carmella, so that way Doudrop can beat Carmella. But and then, the finals be Doudrop and Shayna. But, okay, given what I'm given, obviously I just want Shayna and Doudrop to have a banger match. And then it's Carmella versus Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler rips off the mask. Like, she starts kneeing Carmella to the point where, like, the mask is falling apart. And she breaks her face, essentially. You know what I mean? And this drives Carmella down an even weirder path. This breaks Carmella. That's what I would do, and have Shayna win Queen of the Ring. and Carmella go further into madness, get like a new mask that's even more bezazzled but more protective somehow. I don't know, almost like a face cast. Have her walk around with a face cast, uh, like that episode of SpongeBob where that guy broke all of his bones and he's just walking around with a big, huge human cast. Have Carmella walk around in like a big, humongous helmet, like a mummy, and she doesn't take off the band-aids for way longer than she needs to. So yeah, that's how I would book it. It's kind of stupid, but yeah, I'm really just nervous that Carmella's gonna win this. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Like I said, I'm nervous for that Queen's Crown tournament, but listen, if you made it this far, which I hope you have, I hope this change of scenery didn't deter you. If you made it this far, please leave this video a like, because if you don't, that'd be kind of rude. To subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below who's winning King of the Ring and who's winning Queen's Crown. What would you guys do? Fantasy book a little bit. I want to hear you guys fantasy book. I want to hear y'all's ideas. Maybe you guys have something better in mind than I do. I'm sure you guys do because I'm not that smart. But anyways, you guys, that's it for me. Bye-bye.